All right, we are live. We are live, and I'm coming at you with five. Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents. Here we have a special guest today. He's a district attorney candidate and a retired judge for over 23 years. My fellow Purple Knight, Judge Arthur Hunter, and we're going to welcome him in this channel in a little bit. We're waiting for some more audience members to join us. And you guys just stay tuned. This is going to be a great show today. Say hello to the judge, everyone. That's enough of that. Judge, what's going on?
What's happening, Gavin? How you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for joining me today on
Thanks
Gavin.
for having me.
No problem. No problem. We have a very, I tell people it's very important at least to pay attention to your local elections and your state elections because you're actually more impacted more than anything by who your district attorney is, as well as your former judges and so forth, or who the current judge is. And so I'm privileged to have you on, Brother Judge Arthur Hunter. And just a little background on Judge Arthur Hunter. He is a retired judge for Orleans Criminal District Court. He actually served in Section K for over 23 years. And he has decided to throw his hat into the running for District Attorney of New Orleans. As many people may know in the New Orleans area, Leon Canizero is not who's District Attorney, is stepping down at the end of the year, thank God. Now, I'm gonna say I don't care. He needed to go. He was well, and we'll talk about it a little bit more because I had some questions about, what would you do as district attorney? That I will get in, but I want everybody to do a little background on Judge Hunter. Now, Judge, you are obviously. You have opponents that you're running against. Former District Judge Kiva Landrum is running for DA. I believe Morris Reed as well as Jason Williams are running for District Attorney's spot as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And yes, Judge Landrum is a colleague of yours. I know what division he served in criminal court. But Jason Williams is the counsel at large for New Orleans City Council, and Morris Reed is an attorney that's been around for a while, since I remember as a kid. But Judge Hunter, thank you again for joining us. Now, you are a graduate of St. Augustine High School, Purple.
Oh, yeah.
Not my class, but my school. We gotta correct that. What class of St. Aug did you graduate, Judge?
Class of 77, 1977.
Okay. Well, don't feel bad. My dad was 70.
Okay.
My dad was with Sidney Cates and Kern Reese.
Kern Reese. Yeah, that was that class. Yeah.
Right. And go ahead.
Yeah, that was that class. Kern Reese, Sidney Cates. Yeah. That was a class, Gavin, when they first, when we sang Alma Mater, we raised our fists in the arm, in the air. It was a class of 1970 that started that tradition.
Right. Really? Yeah. I've heard the stories.
Yeah.
My uncle was my godfather was 70, Gerald Pennell, and my uncles. That St. Aug is a family tradition. So my brother is 99. My uncle was 75, 76, or one of those.
I have my younger brother and a few cousins also went to St. Aug. And my son was there for a while too, right before Katrina.
Right. Yeah. So he didn't finish, or
no.
Okay. Yeah. Well, after Katrina, because that really messed up everything. Were you relocated to Baton Rouge, or how did that work out?
Yeah, we relocated to Baton Rouge, and then finally was able to come back to the city, come back to New Orleans.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because I was just reading this article from the Advocate that I have here. When you came back, when you came back from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. It says here you faced no meaningful challenge to his seat during at least 2 elections, and also drew criticism for remaining at a house in Baton Rouge for several years after Hurricane Katrina destroyed his home in New Orleans. But I mean, realistically, people, when we talk about, because this was the anniversary of Katrina just passed, New Orleans there were talks of people not, I don't know what neighborhood you live in, but
I lived in Gentilly. We had 8 feet of water. Yeah.
Right. You live in Pontchartrain, around not far from Pontchartrain Park.
Yeah, I lived in Gentile Terrace, which is at Legion Fields and Mirabel.
Legion Fields and Marable. Yeah. Well, they were talking about not rebuilding many of those areas.
That's correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, that area was going to be green space. And I know that you still obviously worked during Katrina, you worked to release some defendants who had no lawyers.
Yeah. During that time after Katrina, really myself and Judge Johnson were really the only 2 judges who were actually working right after Katrina, because you had thousands of people who were left unrepresented when the public defender's office was decimated by Katrina. Right. So Judge Johnson and I, from wherever we were at that time, because no one was back in New Orleans at that time, decided to take action to make sure that those people will be represented by lawyers, and that the public defender's office will have adequate funding to represent them.
Right, most definitely. And my father worked with the state as a pharmacist, and I can remember, they had to relocate to Baton Rouge, but New Orleans was shut down for months on end before they were letting anybody come back to the area. So, correct. Yeah, and so you have your family to think about. You have your children and so forth, what school they were going to go to. So I don't think that was that hard a decision to make. And plus, on top of that, we had issues. Everybody had issues with road home or their insurance because they were trying to cheat. I'm just going to say they were trying to cheat a lot of people from coming back and returning. And most definitely, they did not want a majority Black city to come back.
Believe it or not, I had a contractor who paid and decided not to do the work and skip town. So I wasn't immune to that either, even though I was a criminal court judge at that time.
Most definitely, that sucks. That always sucks. Yeah, I had that happen to my people and family I know. Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that, so in saying all of that, what was the drive for you to decide to run from district attorney? Because, as a judge, it's already, I can see I know it's a nice job. It's stable.
Yeah. Let me tell you, after 23 years on the bench, you get to see things holistically, Gavin. And as a judge, you really don't have that much power. Your power is limited. The person who has the absolute power really in the criminal justice system is the district attorney. And so the district attorney can determine when you enter the criminal justice system, what path you actually take there. Over the 23 years, I've seen, a lot of young people, with mental health issues, behavior disorders, and veterans who should have been sent to specialty courts to receive the treatment and services they need. And mind you, these were nonviolent offenses. And many of these people were actually sent to prison and also sentenced pursuant to the habitual offender statute. And so what I want to do, and what I found out, if we want to be a safer city, then we need a district attorney, number one, with some basic principles. Basic principle of applying the law equally to everyone, regardless of who you are. Prosecuting cases fairly, ethically, and professionally without the lawsuits and drama. And not being afraid to make tough decisions regardless of political consequences. And so based on the 23 years on the bench and my years as a former police officer as well, I decided to retire early this past February and run for district attorney.
Yeah, most definitely. The DA is always the most powerful person in the courtroom because you've hit the nail on the head. They have the power to turn down a case, whether they're going to null process or they're going to go forward. So judges are limited. They can't do research, a case and look at evidence. That's something that the attorneys could do. So, Yeah, that's very absolutely correct. But also, since you mentioned that you were a former police officer, did that? Um, you were a former police officer for how long? If I
Between 1981 and 1985, I graduated from college a semester early, and I was basically recruited to come on the police department by Gustav Thomas. Gus Thomas is also a St. Aug graduate. Gus Thomas was a police officer, and at the same time, he was president of the NAACP. And so they were looking for young people to join the police force. And when I had the lunch with Gus, I told him I had plans of going to law school. He said, and basically said, well, look, you can do both. You can go to law school and be on the police force. And I sort of raised my eyebrows, and lo and behold, that's what happened. I joined the police force in the academy in April 1981, started law school in September 1981, and graduated from law school while I was on the police force.
right now, you're a college graduate. You went to Michigan, and you actually were a football player there. I'm gonna get back to the politics in a second, but
Okay.
so you were.
Yeah, it was for a short time. In October of 1977, I tore my knee, injured my knee, and as a result, it ended my budding national dream of being a National Football League football player. And so after my freshman semester at Michigan, I spent the summer up there as well. I transferred back to New Orleans where I attended Loyola undergrad.
Which position did you play?
I played defensive back, and the position at St. Aug I played was strong safety, and the position I played at Michigan was the wolf position, and it was the same. It was a similar position, being a strong safety. And really, a strong safety is basically a small linebacker. You don't have the speed of a cornerback, but the strong safety is sort of the small linebacker that plays in the defensive backfield.
The Saints could have used it a couple of times. Big
I
time during those years. Yeah.
don't know about that.
Well, nobody wants to go there back then. Wants to come, but yeah. But so 4 years as a police officer. One of the questions I want to ask you though too, I find people that have spent time as a prosecutor, more times as a prosecutor than they have as a defense attorney. I find, especially if they are running for a major office like an attorney general or even, let's just say, vice president or something like that. I'm cautious about it because they look at things, from a certain perspective, and especially if they didn't play both sides. I've been a contract public defender before, and I think, I have an understanding, of course, of how a defendant thinks and what goes through there. And as a former judge yourself, you worked you worked also for the civil sheriff Paul Valter. Yeah, as a staff lawyer. Did your work? So being a civil for the civil sheriff, what was type of work that you did? Did you ever do any criminal defense? Or I know.
I had a couple of criminal defense cases, but look, I also, when I left the police department, I also filed a major police brutality suit against the police department, in which I represented someone who was brutalized by the New Orleans police. And so, even though I was a police officer, I still sued the police department, and because Gavin, I've always been the kind of person that, if it's the right thing to do, you do it. And so it, it wasn't, I didn't hesitate to take on that lawsuit and represent my client in that lawsuit against the New Orleans Police Department. And incidentally, the lawsuit led to an indictment of 3 police officers as well. One was convicted, and there was a mistrial in the other 2 officers.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was cool. Did you work in the district attorney's office as well?
No, I did not work in the district attorney's office. No.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you brought that up and mentioned that. wanted to know what would be your position as a district attorney, because one of the things that disturbs me, especially in light of the recent police shootings that we've had, whether it be Jacob Blake, whether it be the George Floyd incident, is transparency. Very rarely do we see, and I'm just going to call it what it is. We see race soldiers who masquerade as police officers that kill or shoot unarmed black men. Do the prosecutors prosecute them? Because I know, and as you know, about qualified immunity and so forth. However, officers still have to follow the law, and a crime is still a crime. Very rare exceptions happens. How would you handle a situation if it would arise like a George Floyd or Jacob Blake? I know every case is different, but yeah.
Well, it's simple for me. Everyone should be held accountable for the actions, regardless of who they are. Yeah. And I have a history of representing people in police brutality lawsuits. And as a judge, there have been a number of occasions in which I've accused the police department and called out the police department for the way they handled investigations and arrests of people as a judge. So I won't have any hesitation to investigate any police shootings or any instances of police misconduct.
Right. Sometimes it because of the connection and where we are, it's a little slow. So when I hear you, I can't hear like the full answer. I know when you stop talking. So most definitely I see situations. I'm glad to know that as well, because I think the main thing that people want is transparency from their officials. And when we don't get that, when we get a sit and wait game from time to time, what typically happens is the situations that you see with kids that are rioting in the street. Now, I don't condone any of that, but Dr. King himself even said that the riot is the voice of the unheard.
Right. Not only do you want transparency, but you want a complete and full and thorough investigation as well of the facts and the evidence. Look, until you have the police department and the district attorneys involved in the community in a positive way, you will have those issues of mistrust by the community. You will have rebellion in the streets. And so one of the things I'm going to do is work with the police department to make sure that we are both in the community and being in the community in a positive way. Because it's simple as this, Gavin. Unless you can't get information on a case to solve it, unless the community trusts you to give you that information. Because without that information, you don't have a case. The police can't make an arrest. I can't present a case to the judge or jury. So it behooves the police department and the district attorney's office to be involved in a positive way with the community.
Oh, wait, hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. No, I was trying. I'm sorry about that. No, our volume was. I was getting some feedback from our other channel on Facebook. So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish it.
Yeah, as I was saying, the police department and the district attorney's office has to be involved in the community in a positive way.
Right.
Because without that support from the community, the police officer can't receive information on a crime to solve that crime and to present a case to make an arrest. And so I can evaluate that case and present it to a judge or jury. And so it just behooves the police department and the district attorney's office to be involved again in a positive way in the community. And sometimes, look, the way the atmosphere is right now, we may have to take, when I say we, the district attorney's office and the police department may have to take 2 or 3 steps before the community takes 1 step. And so, I'm prepared to work with the police department and make sure we're involved in the community in a positive way.
Okay.
Because it's just not it's just not the courtroom, but we also have to be involved in the community as well.
And on that note, we talk about being involved in the community, because I mentioned Canizero earlier. I don't feel that we had any transparency from his administration, as well as just being in, being involved in the community. So a lot of people were talking about the fact that there was even some possible ethical issues with the issuance of subpoenas to witnesses, with punishing them under fake arrest, recording defendants' phone calls with their client, those things that transpired. And you talked about, and from your article that I have here, not your article, but this was an article where where you spoke with the advocate. How do you basically get the community involved, or to make them trust you when something like this happens? How different will it be? It's basically the main question from a previous administration.
Well, day one, first, I'm going to make sure that my assistant district attorneys, even my staff, receive training on being professional and being ethical and knowing the law. And secondly, I'm going to have a special counsel office. And in that special counsel office, I'm going to make sure that my assistant district attorneys receive that ethical and professional training. And if there are any allegations of misconduct by an assistant district attorney, we will investigate that assistant district attorney. It's almost like having a public integrity unit within the district attorney's office.
Like an
Yes, internal affairs unit. Yes. And secondly, we have to prosecute cases fairly and professionally and ethically. And we have to, and people have to see what we do and how we do it, and be transparent about it. And that's the only way you're going to be able to establish that integrity within the district attorney's office and that trust from the community. And that starts at the top, Gavin. It starts at the top, and that's the only way it's going. It's the only ways we're going to be able to make this, make it work, where the community, trusts the district attorney's office. But again, like I said, we may have to take 2 or 3 steps before the community takes 1 step. So it's going to be on us to show the community, that we're going to regain integrity, we're going to regain trust.
Well, the American Bar Journal called you a legal rebel. Why? Back in 2015.
Yes.
Did you like that? Did you like that moniker that they gave you?
Yeah, but let me tell you, it was it's based on, we started the reentry court. In the reentry court, we started in 2010, in which we identified young kids who came to the court, normally between 18 and 25 years old, and didn't have a high school degree, and were going in the wrong direction and committed a nonviolent offense. And so we sent them to Angola, where they were trained by the lifers who were there in hard skills such as plumbing, electrical, carpentry, but also the soft skills, to make sure that their attitude was right, their mind was right, how to take care of yourself, take care of your family, be asset in the community, how to balance your checkbook, how to have the right work attitude when you go to work. And once they completed that program after 2 years, where they obtained their GED, they had 2 certifications in that particular trade. We then brought them back to the court, and we monitored them and placed them on probation for a number of years. We had a case manager assigned to them and a probation officer. And so they came back, with the right attitude. They came back as taxpayers. They came back being productive. Now, mind you, we started this in 2010 when it wasn't popular to do this kind of thing. Now everybody wants to come on board and act like they've been doing it also, but at that same time in 2010, I started the Veterans Treatment Court. In the Veterans Treatment Court, veterans who came through the criminal justice system and criminal district court were assigned to my court, and we connected that veteran to the Veterans Administration, where they received the services they needed for PTSD, for employment, for housing, upgrading their discharges. Now it was done in 2010 as well. And before that, in 2008, I was a mental health court judge. And I was asked to take that position after Judge Calvin Johnson retired. He asked me to take it on. So I've been doing criminal justice reform and being smart on crime long before it became in vogue to do it.
Right. Well, New Orleans definitely has a mental health issue at this time, especially with the closure after Katrina, when Charity Hospital had closed down, and I think that was the only hospital that offered treatment at that point. And but that's a whole nother story. But
really, Gavin, you can go back to when Ronald Reagan was president. He closed down a lot of the hospitals, mental health hospitals, and that's when you start to see people on the street corners with holding up signs and wanting to clean your windshield. So that really happened when Reagan became president. It just increased as time went on.
Well, we still see them.
Oh yeah, we still see it.
Claiborne Bridge, and when I was heading to my office downtown off Loyola, they're right there, panhandling right off of St. Charles. So that hasn't changed much.
Yeah, and what I want to do, Gavin, is bring together mental health officials, mental health professionals, and what we want to do is if you commit a nonviolent offense, or you have a behavior disorder, we will have the police officer take you to a community mental health center where you receive the treatment and services you need. And if you complete that program, I'll dismiss the charges against you. Now we're talking about nonviolent offenses, but they have a similar program. This program started in Miami and Seattle. And what that would do, instead of sending someone to OPP or OJC, that person would go somewhere where they actually receive the treatment and services they need. It would be cheaper than paying the sheriff. The person would become better. The person would become productive.
Okay. Definitely. Another issue, something that just came to mind since you mentioned that, I wanted to talk about the juvenile crime situation, if we could, what's happened lately, especially, at the end of last year and even into this year, you had issues with kids breaking into cars, being caught on camera. And I know it was shootings that they're involved in. Louisiana, I was talking with Carl Galman, because he gave me some numbers. We lead the nation in incarceration.
We lead the world in incarceration.
The world. Well, the world. But I'm just speaking specifically, of the United States. And blacks make up a large number of that population, but we are only 12.5 to 14% of the population of the United States. And we talked about the numbers, and especially how there may be having a lack of black judges and district attorneys in the office. How would you deal, especially with the juvenile situation? Because a lot of our kids, I'm not going to sit here and say that some don't deserve to be punished, by no means, based off the crime they commit. But how would you deal with that, especially with overcrowded juvenile halls and so forth? I think they had like a little mini riot that started last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Several months ago. Correct.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do in juvenile court. Basically and fundamentally, I just don't want to deal with what the child did, but why the child did it. And so what I'm going to do is have that child and that child's parent or guardian meet with the assistant district attorney, meet with the child's attorney, also meet with a social worker, someone from the child's school, and perhaps even a psychologist, and create a holistic plan for that child and any issues within the home as well. And those issues in the home could be mental health, it could be drug addiction, it could be lack of parenting skills, because we know we have children having children. And so there are a number of issues dealing with that. And so we're going to create this plan in which everybody sign off on it, everybody be held accountable to it. And so it won't just be about telling the child what he or she cannot do. We also want to offer some positive paths for the child as well. And so the goal would be to put that child on a positive path so they can become successful, but also support their family as well. And that would be not the first time the child comes into the system, or not the second or third time, but the first time the child comes into the criminal justice system, whether it's by a truancy issue or a curfew. Because one thing, Gavin, there are a number of kids that are on the street because it's worse being in the home than being on the street. And so we have to get to why that child committed the crime and why that child is doing what he or she is doing.
Yeah, well, it definitely starts at home first and foremost. And I think if you guys, if you would nip it in the bud the first time, perhaps we wouldn't be seeing these children shooting each other or shooting at other people, robbing and, breaking into cars and all of that.
Yeah, Gavin, that's subjective, because we realize if we give children a positive path and support those families, that's people at Tulane and Broad 4 or 5 years later. There's no ifs, ands about that. But we also have to do things proactive as well. And proactive, I mean, advocating early childhood learning between 0 and 5. So by the time a child gets to kindergarten, the child should be able to read, write, and have good social skills. You know,
how would you implement that?
Well, as a DA, I would advocate it and reach out to those charter schools and bring other people on board as well. You know, the mayor, the city council, the the school board, as well as the charter schools also. But also bring back summer camp in the neighborhood elementary schools. Because I don't know if you remember, Gavin, when we were coming up, once school ended, you had summer camp 2 weeks later in that same school. And what I would like to do is bring that back and allow kids from 6 to 18 to go to those summer camps and hire the older kids as counselors, but also teach those older kids some skills, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, giving them the opportunity to take advantage of, the STEM courses and even the STREAM courses, giving them something positive to do during the summertime, but also encouraging businesses to hire at least one high school kid every summer to teach them the value of work. That's the only way we're going to really be able to reduce crime, and especially juvenile crime, if we also be proactive and get to those kids before they even come into the juvenile justice system.
Okay. I did want to ask you, because it said that you were getting ready to, if you were elected, you would talk about bail bond reform. It was mentioned here, and I wanted to ask you how exactly, because some people may not understand what bail is. Well, some people, I believe, have a general concept of it is, but what did you mean by bail bond reform exactly, and where was that coming from?
Well, we're going to be concerned with two things as a district attorney's office: whether or not that person is a danger to the community, and whether or not that person will return to court. If the person is not a danger to the community and will return to court, we won't object to a bond or bail. As a matter of fact, we won't even request a monetary bond. That would be between a defense attorney and the judge. And secondly, when there's a grand jury indictment, the grand jury returns that indictment in open court. And the practice is right now that the defense attorney is not even present or even notified when it happens. I'm going to notify that defense attorney when the grand jury return comes back, and so they can argue, bond or bail before the judge. Okay. And in my office, will not also object to, a judge granting a release on reconnaissance to someone as well, especially someone who's working and it's a nonviolent offense. Again, my only two concerns will be if the person is a danger to the community or if the person won't return to court for further proceedings.
Right. It says here, that's very interesting. If you're not going to request a monetary amount, that'd be between a judge and defense attorney. That's a good, damn.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to stay in our lane. Now there may be an exception if it's a serious domestic violence case or if it's the victims are children. But if that's the case, and we believe the person is a danger to the community, we're going to argue that the person, remain in jail until the trial is over with. Right.
Well, I'm looking here too that you talked about. I wanted to get to this minor possession of marijuana. You're not going to be prosecuting those cases. It was announced in 2016 that City Council unanimously voted to decriminalize, I guess, minimal possession of marijuana. Well, I should say. How exactly? I know how it works, but basically, how would that, for the people that are listening, how would that work as far as when you decide not to prosecute? Because police officers, if I'm not mistaken, they still will issue a summons under, I guess, the Louisiana revised statute law. But
really, even the municipal and the city council, they may have voted to decriminalize, but it's still against the law municipally to do it. I think what they actually did was give the police officer discretion to make an arrest or to write someone an affidavit, which is like writing someone a ticket. So they really did decriminalize it. They sort of just gave the police officer that discretion to, to bring the person to jail or give them an affidavit. What I'm going to do, the district attorney, I'm not going to prosecute, minor possession of marijuana cases because, look, in half the country, medical or recreational use of marijuana is legal. It's even legal here in Louisiana for medical purposes. And I don't want to give a young person a criminal record. And I'd rather use the resources for prosecuting possession of marijuana cases, use those resources and that money for more serious crimes.
Okay, that's good. All right. Now I'm trying to see if we had anybody that wanted to have a question that they want to ask the judge, but I'm looking here. We don't have any viewers at this moment. we had a few earlier. Yeah, well, we had a few earlier, and people come back every once in a while. Yeah. But I do want to ask you: you're going to launch a conviction integrity unit to root out bad prosecutions from the past. Is that something you would do in, say, that's for all prosecutions? Is there a limit or time that you go back on it, or is there someone, for instance, that you would be working with in different office? Would you be doing this with Judge?
Oh yeah. The conviction integrity unit I'm going to create because, you know, New Orleans has one of the highest wrongful conviction and exoneration rates in the country per capita. And so it's necessary and needed. And it's going to be staffed by attorneys who never worked for the district attorney's office, And it may even be reside off site as well from the DA's office. But the criteria is going to be based on, you know, proof or credible evidence of actual innocence, or, you know, police, not just prosecutorial misconduct, but police misconduct as well. And we won't have a limit how far back we would go.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, so just from what I'm hearing, I will before, I guess, we go off. I don't know if I'm not going to ask anybody if they got any questions. Ain't nobody here. Okay. But I did want to ask you this too. What would be different? I was going to ask you what would be the difference between some of your other opponents and what they're doing, but I haven't heard too many of them talk anything. But if you want to leave a final speech or maybe a short speech of something, why you should be elected, or what would be the difference from your other opponents, I'd allow you to make that right now if you could.
Sure. The difference is basically three things. Number one, I was a police officer, so I protected the community. You know, secondly, I was a judge for 23 years, and I started programs to reduce and prevent crime 10, 12 years ago. It wasn't something new that I did. And again, I was a mental health court judge, I was a veterans treatment court judge, and I was a reentry court judge. And third, you know, I have a detailed platform based on my experience in the courtroom and my experience as a street cop to make the city safer. And look, it wasn't based on what some political consultant recommended. It wasn't based on some poll saying what people wanted to hear. You know, it's based on, again, that experience I have as 23 years as a judge and my time as a police officer. And I know if we follow this and we work together, we can have a safer city.
Okay, most definitely. Do you have a website that anybody could reach out to you if they wanted to either contribute to your campaign or if they wanted to learn more about you?
Sure, it's hunterforda.com.
Okay, you guys heard that. It is hunterforda.com. You guys will check that out. We welcome again and thank our brother Judge Arthur Hunter, retired, who is running for Orleans District Attorney's Office here. In November 3rd is the election.
Yeah, it's November 3rd, Gavin. I appreciate that. And, you know, my ballot number is 101, the easiest number to remember. And I appreciate everyone's support and their votes.
All right, most definitely, Judge. We thank you for coming on, and you are welcome to come back here.
Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate it.
No problem. I told you it was going to be under an hour.
Yeah. You're there. You're definitely there.
Yeah, we made it and then some. I said about 40 minutes. So yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
real good. So that is the link to the website, hunterforda.com. Of course, now I'll be having other candidates just drop by because this is an important election. I want everyone, I guess, to hear everyone what they have to say. But Judge Hunter, I reached out to him. He was happy to come on, and I thank him for coming on and answering my questions. And I've seen you on obviously on Facebook campaigning everywhere right now. Do you have you hit the I'm just curious, have you come and talk to the New Orleans East area? That's something else that I wanted to ask you.
Well, I'm reaching out to the neighborhood associations across the entire city, and
Right.
because of COVID-19, we're in the new normal now, and I think some of the organizations are doing Zoom meetings, and I'm hoping to join those Zoom meetings and tell everyone why I'm running for district attorney, how I can make the city safer, how I'm going to be fair, and basically, Gavin, do the right thing.
Okay, that's all we can do. All right, well, Judge, thank you once again for joining me on
Thanks,
Gavin Presents here.
Appreciate
You guys, no problem, Judge. You guys check out the website Hunter for DA. Also, if you are checking out this live stream, please feel free to drop a comment. Always, and I always got to stress this, donate to the channel. Cash App, GavinRichardEsq, or GooglePay, Gavin.grich1@gmail.com, because money helps me build my platform. You can see I have a new house as a result of it. It's not a new house; it's just green screen. But it was, see, I can touch my wall. Yeah. I can pull a book off the shelf back there. No, but but it's grateful to have our brother on, and also for you guys to please keep checking out the channel, subscribe, share this video. I got one person that's actually here. Oh, let's see. Let me just see if I had any questions or comments. If anybody left anything. Nobody left anything. Okay, well, all right. Well, they'll leave something later. But
Okay.
You're welcome to come back again
Thanks,
for the election. No problem. And thank you all for tuning in for Gavin Richard Presents. This is Gavin Richard. I'll see you guys. Peace.
Peace.